Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The registration system for vaccination against COVID-19, which had been temporarily suspended because of a system's failure, has been quickly remedied and all registration channels are now operational again. The government encourages all those who are eligible to register for vaccination, especially those over 60, to do so. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki drew attention to the decrease in new daily cases of COVID compared to last week. For the first time in a long time, as the days seem to be so long and so difficult, we have week to week a lower number of cases, but still very high, still dangerous. I still have to appeal to all of you to follow the rules. The chaos caused by the failure of the vaccination registration system yesterday led to a temporary suspension of registration, but by nightfall everything had returned to normal. People between 40 and 59 years of age who had been misregistered for April will be vaccinated in May. The government's priority is to vaccinate all people over 60 by the end of April. The Ministry of Health has announced 30,546 new cases of coronavirus infection in Poland, a slight reduction on previous days, and a further 497 deaths. The number of those infected rose to 2,387,511, and the deaths rose to 54,165. Over 6,460,000 vaccinations have already been performed in Poland. The first dose has been administered to over 4,400,000 people and the second to over 2,060,000. Good Friday is a time of the deepest mourning for Christians, with the commemoration of the Passion and Crucifixion of Christ. This is the only day of the year when Mass is not celebrated. According to the Gospels, it was on Friday when Jesus Christ died on the cross. In the late afternoon, the Station of the Cross begins in many churches.
Wielki Piątek to wielki dzień.
Good Friday is a day of great sadness, contemplation and reflection. Christ's passion and death and the great betrayal that preceded it. It is so important for us that in this passion and death of Jesus we see ourselves and our sins and a great desire to improve. It is a great encouragement that we finally turn to God and draw from the blood of Christ that flows from the cross of Jesus' great mercy, that is, an invitation to improve our lives.
To znaczy zaproszenie do poprawy swojego życia.
On April 2nd, 2005, Pope John Paul II died. It was the first Saturday of the month and the eve of the Feast of Divine Mercy. The pontificate of the Holy Father from Poland lasted over 26 years, the third longest in the history of the Church. The name of this Pope was written with golden letters in the hearts of people all over the world. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, his Polish counterpart Mateusz Morawiecki and Matteo Salvini, leader of Italy's League Party, have met in Hungary's capital city of Budapest to lay the groundwork for a new European political grouping. The Hungarian Prime Minister said millions of people are currently left without representation and a voice in European politics. Viktor Orban stated that the three leaders had discussed their common values of representing liberty, dignity, Christianity, family and national sovereignty. The Hungarian Prime Minister emphasised that the European political group his party has just left is drifting ideologically to the left. As the, so far, strongest right-wing party, the European People's Party has visibly committed itself to long-term cooperation with the European left, several millions of European citizens have now been left without European representation. The Christian Democrats in Europe today have no proper representation, and we will be working so that these people have a voice, representation, and weight in European politics. Similarly, Salvini said that they wanted to present themselves as an alternative to the left, questions the roots of Europe.
Che rimette in discussione valori fondanti come la famiglia.
They question the founding values such as family, women, men, identity, culture, beauty and health. So we present ourselves as a historical and founding team, an alternative to the left that questions the roots of Europe. And we don't impose on ourselves any limits, boundaries, ambitions that go far. We won't settle on being fourth, third, second. Our objective is to be the first in terms of representation.
Ambizioni.
The Polish Prime Minister stressed that they have agreed to work for a European Union in which all member states have a say. We want to promote solidarity, but not at the expense of weaker nations. Europe should not be dictated to by the stronger ones, those who are bigger or stronger today. European solidarity should be based on common values. The new party group would have 147 seats of the European Parliament's 705 seats. The atmosphere was tense on the streets of Brazil on Wednesday as rival protesters turned out for and against President Jair Bolsonaro on the anniversary of the country's 1964 military coup. The anniversary comes after previous statements from Bolsonaro defending the coup, which stopped a communist takeover of the country and was followed by 2 decades of political stability. Defence Minister Walter Braga Neto released a statement on Tuesday in which he described the events of March 31st, 1964, when the military took power in Brazil as a movement rather than a coup. He said it should be understood and celebrated as part of Brazil's historic trajectory. Many Brazilians are nostalgic about the late 1960s and 1970s, remembering it as a time when the high murder rate and violent crimes committed by the so-called vagabundo gangs were not the gigantic problem that they have been in the 21st century. When you have a person like Bolsonaro who wants to take the country on the right path, and there are 50 thieves on the other side of politics, when you have someone who wants to look out for human lives and his powers to govern are taken away, the president who is elected can't govern in a presidential system, it's time for the armed forces to speak out. On Wednesday, Brazil named new commanders of its armed forces, a day after the previous 3 chiefs stepped down after having gone against President Jair Bolsonaro's anti-lockdown policy. Paulo Sergio Nogueira de Oliveira will take over the army, Almir Garnier the Navy, and Carlos Almeida Baptista Jr. the Air Force, said Defence Minister Walter Braga Neto in his first news conference since assuming his new role this week. The military in the past was not lacking, and it will never be lacking when it comes to what the country needs. The Brazilian Navy, the Brazilian Army and the Brazilian Air Force are faithful to their constitutional mission to defend the country, to guarantee constitutional powers and democratic freedom. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night, a better tomorrow and a happy, holy and peaceful Easter.